Welcome, everybody. My name is Zoe Francesca Goldblatt. I am an end-of-life doula in Northern California. I'm with the AriYael Jewish Healing Center, and I'm also with the East Bay End-of-Life Doula Network. And today I've been asked to be a guest facilitator for this gathering, and I'm so honored. I want to acknowledge that Samantha Zellman is on parental leave. She is doing fantastic, and we're so happy for her. She will be back sometime in June. And so without further ado, I want to invite you into this sacred space. You know, as Jewish doulas, we really have some beautiful tools at our disposal that we can use with our Jewish clients. We have such sacred wisdom and such a wonderful tradition. And so part of what we like to do in these gatherings, when we get together in our identity as Jewish doulas, is to share some teachings and also have plenty of time to further get to know each other and share with each other about our work. So today's teaching is going to be by Rabbi Dan Goldblatt, also of the AriYael Jewish Healing Center. Rabbi Dan has officiated at well over 100 funerals as a clergy person, but today he's here as a doula, and he comes to these gatherings as a doula. He is one of the most compassionate people I know when it comes to comforting mourners. And today he's going to share a teaching about compassion, focusing on the prayer, El Malei Rachamim. So now I introduce Rabbi Dan Goldblatt.
Thank you, Zoe, and thank you to the Shomer Collective for this opportunity to be here today with you. You know, in the Jewish tradition, when we hear of a death, we say, Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, which means blessed is the true judge. The idea, of course, is that we bless God for things that we don't fully understand. For me, it's never felt right to use this reference in the immediate aftermath of death. Why evoke judgment as if death itself was a judgment? So, therefore, we have renewed our tradition by, instead of saying Baruch De'an Ha'emet, blessed be the true judge, some of us are now saying Baruch El Malei Rachamim, blessed is the source of all compassion. This resonates for me definitely, and it references one of the most profound prayers in our tradition about compassion, which is called El Malei Rachamim. This prayer is used during funeral services, during Yizkor services, on Yom Kippur, and on the three pilgrimage festivals. And it's also can be used by doulas immediately after a death. So let's look at this prayer today, and if we could look at the resource sheet. The resource sheet has a couple of recordings that you can use as reference if you would like to learn a melody for this beautiful prayer. One of them is a more traditional melody. One is a melody that I've composed, and I will share with you today. Thank you so much. So these are the recordings, the two recordings. If you could go to the next page. So here's a sort of a traditional. This is the translation of El Malei Rachamim in the Reform, in the CCAR manual, Rabbi's manual. This is the translation that the Reform movement uses, and you can see that it's God of compassion, grant perfect presence and peace in your sheltering presence to the soul of the person who has died, and grant them refuge. So these are traditional words, and they're very beautiful. But I'd like to go to the next page, Victoria. And this is a translation that was offered to me by a friend and colleague, Julie Batts. And I think it goes really to the heart of the prayer. And it says, with this prayer, we release our hold on you. We pray that your soul moves on in freedom. We call on the deepest well of compassion, the sweetest love, the boundless acceptance, to receive you into its fullness, to shelter you under its wings. We pray that you are finding your way home, free from pain and worry, where there is only love, where there is only peace. We're not going to look at there are other translations that are on the resource guide. We can stop to share now, Victoria. Thank you. This prayer calls us into a place of compassion for our loved one or the person that has just died. And it also calls us into compassion, not only for the memories that we bear of the person who's died, it calls us to be compassionate with ourselves in this moment. So I want you to hear it. Again, this is a melody I composed, but I was inspired because I think this prayer is so profound and such a gift to everyone in the moments, after death or in the place of funeral. And so I invite you to listen. You've just heard the translation. And this is a formulation for a female. There's a formulation for a male and female. This is for females. It goes like this. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamaromim Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Im Kedoshim Utorim Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Ploni Bat Ploni Shehalcha Le'olama Bal Harachamim Yastireha Besetach Kanafav Le'olamim V'yitzcho B'tzro HaChaim Et Nishmat Ta Adonai Hu Nachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Al Mishkava V'nomar Amen. Calling us into compassion, precious gift of our tradition.
Thank you so much.
Rabbi Dan, before we switch back, there was a question in the chat from Alice saying, please repeat the alternative to Baruch Dayan Ha'emet that you mentioned at the beginning.
Sure. It references that beautiful prayer. It's Baruch El Malei Rachamim, which means blessed is the source of all compassion.